The women's basketball team's path to the Olympics was paved by Title AX. Basketball sensation Caitlin Clark's final year at the University of Iowa had everything but an elusive national championship. That went to South Carolina in an action-packed showdown worthy of the top two teams in the country. For the first time ever, that championship game had more TV viewers than the men's game. 18.9 million people tuned in, nearly double last year's record 9.9 million viewers, and the most of any basketball game, NCAA women or men, NBA or WNBA, in 5 years. At its peak in the fourth quarter, viewership rose to 24 million. People wanted to see if South Carolina could become the first unbeaten team since 2016, and they wanted to watch Clark, arguably the best player in women's college basketball, who was on the opposing squad. During her 4 years at Iowa, Clark broke records, did State Farm commercials, and brought fans by the thousands into arenas all over the country to watch her play. She even had announcers at men's sporting events talking about women's basketball. She is the 2023-24 National Player of the Year, and when I watch her compete, I see the full fruits of Title AX and the much longer history of women's basketball that made this moment possible. Born in 2002 in West Des Moines, Iowa, Clark was already garnering interest from college coaches and setting records as a middle schooler. In grade school, her parents signed her up to play with boys because there were no girls' teams for her age range. By the time she reached middle school, the Iowa basketball world had heard all about her. Between her sophomore and junior years in high school, Clark didn't make the USA U17, the national team for girls ages 17 and younger, and that disappointment motivated her to step up her game. The next year, she was Gatorade Iowa Player of the Year. In Clark's first year at Iowa, her 26.6-point average led NCAA Division I, the highest level of collegiate sports in the U.S., and she was named first-team All-American. Her sophomore year, she scored a then-career-high 46 points in one game, and she was the first Division I woman to lead in the same season in both points and assists. As a junior, she won the National Player of the Year award, which had its first-ever unanimous vote, was named the AP Player of the Year and the Naismith Women's College Player of the Year, and received the John R. Wooden Award. In her senior year, Clark hit a new career high with 49 points in a single game. She broke Kelsey Plum's NC double, a women's career scoring record, and followed that up by breaking the men's record of 3,667 career points held by Pete Maravich for more than 50 years. She also broke the single-season records for both women and men for three-pointers, and she won back-to-back AP, Naismith, and Wooden Awards. Much of Clark's success can be attributed to talent, hard work, and good coaching. But as Clark herself acknowledges, many other women paved the way for her. If not for them, and especially if not for Title AX, the 1972 legislation mandating equal treatment in education, there would be no Clark, no record-breaking crowds, no WNBA Shimmy Gray Miller, a former women's coach and a color and studio analyst for the Big Ten Network, told Ms. I have watched Clark since she was in high school and coached against her as an opposing assistant, and now this past year, covering her as an analyst has given me a totally new perspective. She is one of those rare, younger generation players who I believe does have an understanding of Title AX and the impact that earlier players have had on our current game. The first college women's basketball games were played at Smith College in 1892, when an enterprising instructor named Senda Berenson adapted the new game to enliven her physical education courses. Soon other schools added the sport, and the first intercollegiate game featured Stanford and UC Berkeley in 1896. The NCAA formed in 1906 to regulate men's sports, but had no interest in women's participation. The Association for Intercollegiate Athletics for Women, AIAW, formed in 1971 to govern women's sports and offer athletic championships for women.